Hi, I'm Cassidy Burke, a Chapter 2 P-Tech scholar, and this is my partner.
I'm Zane, a Chapter 1 P-Tech scholar.
And today we are interviewing Steve James.
Steve James works at Ohio Valley Gas.
That's correct. Glad to be here.
So Zane here has his first question for Mr. Steve James.
So we see that you're a very big family guy. Why is this important to you?
So I was really grateful to be brought up by a very loving mother and father. And so really just trying to take their legacy down. And so my kids and my grandson, this is really important to me. And I think that at the end of the day, that's kind of my legacy that I'll leave here.
Great answer. What are 3 words you think high schoolers should focus on and why?
That's a great question. And I get asked that a lot. So my 3 words are, the first one's communication. Because I don't know that most of us will find a job or a career that doesn't allow them to talk to people on a daily basis. So the better that you can communicate, just the more successful that you become. I guess the second word is collaboration. My mentor, John Maxwell, says that nothing of significance happens by yourself. That you really have to have teams of people to be successful. And so I like the collaboration, especially in these times. I think we got to figure out how to collaborate more and not less. So that would be my second word. The third word really is listening. I think, we talk about listening, but it's that listening for understanding, which really allows you to learn. And so if you take the communication, collaboration, and listening skills, it doesn't matter what stage of life you're in, you will be better because of it.
Great answer.
Can you tell us how you connected with P-Tech scholars?
It's my standard answer. Kristen Wygant told me that I needed to, and that's really the reason. But even before that, I looked at this as an opportunity, especially for businesses, to really get in contact with the educational systems. I look at that the students are our future pipeline of employees, and so to develop that relationship early on is great. And then when Kristen and the rest of the staff told me about what PTech was all about, I was all in for that because I believe everybody learns at a different pace. And so when we set this up, I just think it's a great opportunity. So I was really excited about being part of this.
We see you're a Michigan Wolverine fan. What made you interested in the Michigan Wolverine?
So it's interesting. Sorry, it's interesting because so I grew up in Flint, and that was a big Michigan town at that point. But I always joke that it was really the only school that let me in, and that's really kind of a true statement. Back when I was going to school, they didn't have these dual credits, and so in order to get college credit, you actually had to physically go to college. And so then I was going there. So actually, Michigan was the only school that allowed me me to go to a community college in high school and then transfer the credits to them. So that's kind of so I went there. But I've always been a big fan of the Wolverines.
Did you play football in high school?
I tried out my freshman year and I wasn't any good, so I decided that that wasn't probably a sport for me.
All right. So, why do you think self-confidence is important as a leader?
Actually, self-confidence is important as an individual, not just a leader. And you think about that. So self-confidence, when you're self-confident, you just think about how you interact with people, right? You got it where you're like, okay, I can do anything. My energy level is much higher when I have that confidence versus, and we've all been there, right? It's the other piece of it is like, I'm kind of hesitant if I don't have that self-confidence. So I tell everybody, the more self-confident that you can be, the more successful that you'll be. And so as a leader, it's that self-confidence because if you can't get yourself and lead yourself well, no one else will want to follow you. So that self-confidence is important. And it's kind of interesting as you ask that question again, and all these are fantastic questions, by the way. I was just really impressed with that. I was actually talking to an individual today because she has self confidence issues, and but she's really talented. And so we had that conversation like, hey, I got to work on your self confidence. And how does that do that? Again, you get self confidence by just really operating in your strengths, right? If I'm operating from a strength perspective, I just have more confidence. And again, that just takes you further than what normal talent will let you go.
That's a great connection. Question number 6, people say P-Tech scholars get things handed to them. Do you agree with this statement? Why or why not?
That's a very interesting question because, quite honestly, all of us get handed things. We get handed an education. We get handed again different jobs throughout your life. You get handed different situations. So it's not what you get handed, right? It's what you do with what's handed to you. So I look at it that way. So I don't think that anybody in PTech has gotten things handed to them. They've been provided opportunities. And again, but it's still up to them to decide if they're going to take advantage of those opportunities or not. Just like the rest of the students here, they have opportunities as well. Can they do that? Yeah, it's really up to them. So I don't see it as a handout, right? It's a great opportunity, and there's lots of great opportunities out there. But you have to do something with the opportunity, and nothing in life is free. So when you think you get handed something, I'm like, okay, if I get handed something, I don't do anything with it, and it's still nothing. So I like the fact that yeah, we have opportunities here. That's great, but it's what we do with them than just say that's been handed to us.
I agree with that. I always say it's what you do with your opportunity. Biggest difference. And I always think back to the 8th grade year where we applied for this. It was what we did with that opportunity that gets us where we're at now.
Yeah, like I said, I mean, you know that, right? Is that everybody progresses on their own level, and some take really good advantage of it, and some don't, and that's okay.
Yeah.
You've obviously been like a very generous donor to P-Tech, and we've noticed that you asked people to donate to St. Jude's Children's Hospital Research. You have said their mission means a lot to you. Is there any like backstory that you're willing to share?
Yeah, you done pretty hard for that one. That's a great question. I suspect you might have got it off the Facebook page that I had last year that I asked for money for that. So interesting enough, and I told you that I had a wonderful mother and father, and my mother really only had two charities that she believed in. One was St. Jude's, and the other one was the Red Cross. And so really, it's in her honor, right? That I donate to St. Jude's. It's just really it's taking on her legacy, right? And so that's kind of not much of a backstory, but for me, it's everything because it was important for her, and so it continues to be important for me.
How do you think this P-Tech program, if it's just us in Winchester or the state of Indiana, how do you think the P-Tech program will grow in the next 5 years?
I guess my answer will be as far as you want it to go. I don't see that anything's going to limit you in what you do. Now, what I will say is that it can't just be a vision, right? So you can't have a 5 year vision and say, we're going to be this, whatever that is. It's that what is it going to be in 5 years and then break that down. What does that mean we have to do next year? What does it have to mean we do it in 3 years? And so as long as there's a plan of action to get there, I really think that this program can do anything it wants to do. And like I said, that's the part that excites me the most is we haven't even broken the tip of the iceberg here on what this could be. And really, it's from all the classes in there, and they're going to generate what it's going to look like in the future.
Yeah, I think it's weird to think the next 5 years we'll have a whole new chapter 1, 2, and 3, and 4, and it's weird to be the chapter 2 right now thinking about that.
So, what was your first impression of the first chapter of P-Tech and why?
So it was interesting because I was excited because I've been advocating this for a long time, again, even before PTech even was a thought process here in Indiana. It's really on how I could get high school students involved in really the manufacturing at the time, the manufacturing side of things. And what does that do? And it really gets this kind of hands-on problem-solving approach, which quite honestly I thought was kind of lost in the current traditional school system. But that's really neither here nor there. But So when I heard that, I was really excited. And then my first interaction, I remember talking to Kristen. I'm like, I have this really hard problem, and she says, "Hey, bring an industry problem to them, and let's just let them see what happens." And so we were the one of the first ones to do that. And I thought, oh, this is not going to be good, right? Because I know back when if I was a freshman, I'd have been petrified to do this, to be quite honest. But then to watch what the students did in those that really only had 2 weeks, 2 weeks of research to put together a presentation and PowerPoint, present it to a set of business people, and they did that, and it was just it was an amazing stroke there, and then to watch them progress. So my first impression was that I was very impressed with what they did. And then watching them throughout the year, I got even more impressed with the level, I guess, of engagement and really the talent that they poured out into that.
And how has that changed since the new chapter of P-Tech Scholars just came in?
I'm not quite sure. I know that the approach is different. So it's hard to really compare the two. Um, again, I like the first year and kind of that, but I think they tweaked it a lot really to make sure that it was satisfying the students more so than it was satisfying the businesses. I think, I look at that. I'm not sure that all the projects probably were enlightening for the students, and so I think they tweaked it. I'm hoping that the year twos again or the year ones today, right, the second year of the program, um, has had I guess a better experience or at least a more consistent approach than what we had in year one, if that's fair to say.
Yeah. What would you say to a company that is debating about becoming tech and
If you're not here, you should be. I've told everybody, and I'm probably one of the biggest proponents of P-Tech or any kind of hands-on learning experience that we can get. But really, as I said earlier, it is the future pipeline for businesses. I don't think that we've done a great job from a business perspective of telling all the opportunities there are for jobs for the kids. And I don't think the education system necessarily reached out to the businesses to say, hey, is that connection there? So when I look at that and potential businesses, if you're in the area, you need to be involved in this program. It's both rewarding and then, as I said, it sets you up for the future because we have these connections now. And so, again, when you guys get out of school, you'll know who I am. You'll know all the people that are in the program. And it's all about, at that point, it's all about networking. Again, it's what's handed to you at the end of the day. You're handed a networking opportunity to go find somebody and join that. And as a business, the livelihood of a business is employees.
And I know when the first chapter of P-Tech got into when we started the two classrooms, when we first came in, Kristen, we had 40 plus P-Tech, and I think we're up to maybe 60 or 70 now. So like it's definitely growing rapidly.
And for a final question for you, what is your favorite outside of work activity?
Well, my wife would say that taking her to Disney would be my favorite activity. For me, I've always liked golfing. I don't get to do it as much as I used to because I'm pretty busy. But I'm going to try and golf a little more this year and maybe take a trip to Disney.
So thank you for coming in and sharing your opinion with Zane and I. We greatly appreciate it.
And it was a pleasure being here. I enjoy these immensely. Appreciate
Thank
it.
you.
Thanks.
Thank you.